Everyone's talking about Zyon Grand in River Valley, but with so many new launches and an oversupply in the area, is it really the right time to enter or should you wait? Hi, I'm Selena, a realtor here in Singapore. On this channel, I break down property launches, market trends, and investment strategies so you can make smarter decisions. Today, let's dive into whether Zyon Grand is worth your attention or if the oversupply means you should hold back. This is the structure of my video. I will touch on the location, site plan, unit mix, distribution chart, and whether there's an oversupply in the area, the pros and cons of service apartment, the floor plan analysis, and my closing thoughts. This is a joint venture of renowned developers CDL and Mitsui Fudosan. It's 2 blocks of 62 stories development, 1 tower of 36 stories service apartments with restaurants, supermarkets, and early childhood development center. TOP in 2032. The 700 units is split into 2 blocks, so lesser density in each block if you're worried about the number of people using the lift. Let's look at the architect impression of the project. The architect Nikkei Sekai drew inspiration from the orchid flower, shaping the development into a tall, slender developments like petal-like forms. And you don't have to worry, the layout itself is actually very squarish and very functional. Location. Zyon Grand has direct access to Havelock MRT, and it is surrounded by 3 main roads, and it is very accessible to the Great World City here and also the Zion Riverside Food Center. As you can see, any developments that's after the Singapore River is considered District 3, but you don't have to worry because Rivier, a condo that's near here, is transacting at District 9 prices, so it's really not a worry that Zyon Grand is in District 3. Your resale buyer will be those from $1 million HDB in Tiong Bahru area. And why is it from the area? Because condos in the River Valley areas are actually pricier and they are not as new as the Zyon Grand. Moving on to site plan. So as you can see, the site is actually surrounded by these 3 main roads. So for sure there will be road noise, but the upside is that it is very visible to drivers. So anyone who drove past, they'll be curious about Zyon Grand, and if they want to settle down in that area, you'll be very sure that they will check out Zyon Grand. There's 6 units on each level, but one of the unit comes with private lift, so it's actually 5 units sharing 1 lift, which I think is very well distributed. The grey piece here, this here, is actually a service apartment, and they have their own facilities, so no worries on having to share. The upside of having service apartment in the development, I will cover that later on in my video, so stay on. Surroundings. As you can see from this slide, the development will be taller than most condo in the area, so about I think 40th floor, you will have an unblocked view. The unique mix of this development, 42% consists of 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, and this will most likely be attracting investors. And 58% covers the 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, and 5 bedrooms. So this will be more for own stay. I would say this is a good mix, and I'm glad to see that emphasis is given to the 2 bedroom, the bigger 2 bedroom, and also the 3 bedder here. Distribution chart. I'd like to touch on this because if you are interested in 4 bedder, you are able to get it on the lower levels here, which means the price will be lower than those in the promenade peak. Because promenade peak 4 bedder is only exclusive for the higher floors, and if you are budget sensitive, you may want to consider Zyon Grand because it's available from level 2 onwards. Let's touch on this big question. Is there an oversupply in River Valley? So I have prepared these slides, and as you can see, the total supply in the area is about 2,800 units. And honestly, I think that's a lot of supply. Some agents will say, don't worry, you look at Treasure Tampines, it has 2,200 units and people are still making money. Well, that's true actually, people are making money, but given a choice, right, I will actually choose areas where there are lesser supplies. Less supplies means what? Less competition, easier to sell, easier to exit. But right now, the situation is River Valley has about 2,800 units. That's a huge number. But think about it, right? Who will be the most stressed in such a high supply area. It will of course be the developer, because they have thousands of units to sell. So what will happen when they are stressed? They'll be more sensitive in their pricing because they want to get the starting price right from the beginning. Because the last thing they want is actually a lower price, which will create a negative sentiment, and then after that adjust the price down because sales is not doing well. You think about it this way. If you're selling your place, if you're genuinely selling your place, and your competitors are all pricing their homes at 2.3 to 2.4 million, right? And would you actually price it at 2.7? You won't, right? Unless you want to actually test the market. But developer, in this case, they are genuine in selling, so they will not price high to test. Their loss will be substantial. Okay, that's the pros of having a huge supply in River Valley. So what's the cons then? The cons is, of course, all these projects, the TOP date is all very close. So you will have a lot of competition when everybody TOP at the same time, and it will take a longer to sell. So the upside of this development is because it's surrounded by the 3 roads that I mentioned just now. The visibility is definitely there. So there's no way anyone will miss out. If a buyer wants River Valley, this will be their first choice because of how iconic this development will be. A good example will actually be Jadescape. When you go to Marymount and you go to Bishan, you will sure check out Jadescape because it's like every time you drive past, it's right in your face. I would like to touch on the pros and cons of service apartment because this GLS is the first to pilot service apartments with a minimum stay of 3 months. And because of this tender only drew in 1 bid. They need to provide service apartment. Is actually a big deal because service apartment don't allow developers to recover their money as fast as condos. So most developers actually stay away. Why CDL went for it is because they have a hospitality arm with hotels under their brand. So they know how to manage service apartments. And also CDL has deep pockets. So they can afford a longer cash flow horizon. This gives them an edge that other developers don't have. I'm sure some of you will be concerned with, so whether service apartments will take away all your tenants, will it be very difficult to actually rent out your 1 or 2 bedder? I personally think that this works in your favor because service apartments, they cater for the short-term stay, minimally 3 months, and tenants who are in the service apartment, if they plan to stay longer, say the mid-term to the longer term, they will usually consider the same area because they are familiar and the price that they pay, right, in service apartment are usually higher. Let me explain this with Great World Residence. Great World Residence and Tiara. Okay, this is Great World Residence and this is Tiara. Let me explain this. Okay, if you look at Great World Residence rates, they are for a 2-bedroom, right, it's about 10,500. But if you look at the Tiara, the 2-bedroom is 4,400. So this is almost half the rate. So you think about it, who would not want to pay less but enjoy the same amenities and also the familiarity of the place? This is exactly, what happens. So this is what I mean by service apartment will actually works in your favor. So now let's look at the cons. Looking at this land bid price, Zyon Grand is actually the lowest. The price that they bid is actually the lowest among the 3 developments. But I would like to point out that this doesn't mean that the developer will launch cheaper because you have to think about it. They have the service apartment, which doesn't provide immediate returns. So with that in mind, the launch price could be higher. Let's move on to the floor plan analysis. So for 1 bedroom, it's 474 square feet, it's north facing, and there is no balcony at the living room, which is great for investors because they only pay for livable space. And there's a study right here. My concern for this layout, right, is I am not sure where to dry your laundry actually. But let's move on to the rental yield. Rental yield, I have used Rive as comparison. This condo has 70 units, and at the time of preparing these slides, right, there are only 5 properties that's up for rent. So this is a good sign. And they are actually commanding an average price of 5,002. So if one bedder in Zyon Grand is smaller, let's assume a rental of 4,500 per month, which I think is reasonable. And selling price of a per square foot of 2,750, then it will work out to be about 1.3 and give you a rental of 4.1. So okay, let me take a step back. Let me explain how I derived this 2,750 per square feet. CDL pricing strategy has always been a 0.5% jump. So for this Zyon Grand, it's 62 stories. So that works out to be about 2,750. Okay, the 2-bedder. There are 3 types of 2-bedder. So for this section here, it's going to take a while. The 2-bed, 1-bath, 538 square feet. It's north facing, and the kitchen cabinet here, as you can see, is tucked away, which I actually like because the walkway will be like a clean walkway. And then again, there's no balcony, and I like the living room and the dining room actually separated. The rental yield for Rive, the one bedroom Rive again, 70 units here, 5 at the point when I prepare these slides. And averagely is about 5,002. So for this one, I will assume it to be higher at 5.5 because it's newer. And the rental yield works out to be 4.4. I think this is reasonable, but just be careful when you get all the 1-bedder, 2-bedders, because the higher you go, the prices will be higher, and that will eat into your rental yield. Then the 2-bed, 2-bath, 646 square feet. It's also north facing. And I like this because the window here, the master toilet has a window which they managed to squeeze in. I think it's because it's a corner stack. And then you look at the rental yield, again, very healthy rental yield of 4.3%. This price at 1.78, I think it's very attractive because Martin Modern is already transacting at 2.1 mil, and that is a 764 square feet non-harmonized. So if it's harmonized, it's like 710 square feet. Okay, the last type of 2-bedder will be 2-bed, 2-bath, and then plus a study here. The enclosed kitchen, this is a good layout because there's a possibility you can enclose the kitchen, right? And then those who want a decent 2-bedder, I think you can consider this because both rooms can put a queen-size bed. But rental-wise, I think it doesn't make sense. Let's move on to the 3-bedroom. 3-bedroom, the smallest unit will be 818 square feet. And it comes with 3 bedrooms. The bedrooms are good size. All of them can fit a queen-size bed. And the master toilet here has a window. I think the only thing that I don't like is this kitchen here. It's more of a kitchenette, which I think is not very suitable for a 3-bedder. I actually prefer the River Green 786 3-bedder, which has an enclosed kitchen. And then also, Rive 2-bed plus study, 818 square feet is already transacting at 2.5. So I think this is not a bad buy. So the better layout, right, is this 861 square feet. The kitchen is enclosed. There's a window here. Master bedroom there's a window, and the common toilet also has a window, which I think is perfect. It's very suitable for those HDB upgraders. So if you are looking to flip, right, do consider the 861 square feet because I think it appeals more to the HDB upgraders. So potentially the 818 square feet will be going for 2.25 and the 861 square feet will be going for 2.37. Okay, then moving on to 1055 square feet. This comes with a study here. It's open concept, but then there's a beam on top. So probably it's for structural reasons that they have to leave the beam there. And then the enclosed kitchen, you see here there's a window here, and all the bedrooms again can fit queen size bed, which is perfect. And the windows and then there's a bomb shelter also, which you can use it for storage. So most likely it's going to be like 2.9 based on the 2750 per square feet. For the 1076 square feet, it's about the same as the 1055. So the only difference is probably the walkway. And potentially it's going to be at 2.96 million. Most of us buy property with the goal of making money. So I would like to touch on the exit strategy. For the 3-bedder, right? Who will be your future buyers? And most likely I would say the HDB upgraders. For example, the Clementi Crest BTO. When I saw this article, the sellers in Clementi Crest, they actually made 750,000 gain, which I think is very good. So I actually dig deeper, and then I found out that their BTO price is actually 576 to 706K. So now let's apply this to say today, they sell their Clementi Crest HDB and they want to get your 3-bedroom from you at Zyon Grand, and you bought it at 3 million. So of course you want to make a profit, right? So let's assume that you sell it at 500K more. So they will have to get from you at 3.5 million. The down payment that they will have to make will be 1.02. And because of the cash that they make, and assuming that their combined CPF is about 400K, they have more than enough actually to cover the down payment. They don't even have to fork out any cash. Do note that I'm only touching on Clementi Crest because of the time constraint, right? But you can, HDB upgraders like Depot Road, Bidadari, Dawson, Henderson, all these are actually your potential target audience. Okay, let's move on to the 4-bedroom. There are 3 sizes, and it all comes with a private lift, and you can, so the good thing about private lifts is if you can keep your main door open. And for 4-bedders, usually it is for own stay. And if let's say budget allows, do go for the higher floor. The 1421 square feet, very nice landscape living room, and it has a walk-in wardrobe here in the master bedroom. What's interesting to note is actually there's a window here which will be perfect if you make it into a helper's room. But then the junior master, the toilet has no window. So potentially will be starting from 3.9 million. The 1518 square feet, nice landscape living room. And the depth is actually not as deep as the 1421 square feet. But the thing is, see the master toilet here, it has a bathtub, and also it has a his and her sink. So I think it's more atas than the 1421 square feet. Potential price will be 4.2 million. Then the last one, 1615, again comes with private lift, and this is available only from level 44 to 61. So the prices will be higher. So the exit strategy for the 4-bedroom, it will most likely, it may come from the EC upgraders. So I pull out actually one EC upgraders, the top-notch one is the 100 Palms Residence, because I say top-notch because they actually make a lot of profit. You look at this here, 1.73 million, which I think is like, wow. So again, assuming they have a combined CPF of 400K and with a cash, right, of 1.7 million, and today if they were to get your 4-bedder, which you bought it at 3.9 and you want to make a profit of 1 million, and most likely you want to sell it for 4.9, they will have to fork out 1.46 million. So if you look at the money that they made from their EC, they have no problem affording your 4-bedders actually. So EC is one group of buyers that you can target, and then the other target audience will be like your fully paid condo or even those landed owners. 5-bedrooms. 5-bedrooms is only available from level 44 to 61. All the bedrooms can fit queen size bed, and 5-bedrooms is actually very scarce. So if you can afford it, do consider. I haven't put a price in, so if let's say you are curious about the price, do drop me a message. And for penthouse, there are only 2 penthouses in this development. What they do is they combine the 2 stacks into one. So they make it's super nice. You see, they make the master bedrooms all tucked to one corner here, away from the rest of the bedrooms. So very exclusive. This is the other 2756 penthouse. It's about the same. The layout, no complaints, perfect. So my closing thoughts. This project is definitely worth considering, especially if you like the location and want to live in an iconic development that offers relatively affordable 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom. And for those looking for smaller units for investment, it has the potential to attract rental yields of about 4.5%. But do take note, right? The higher floors will be at a higher price, which will eat into your rental yield. So do let me know what you think of this project. The preview will be on the 8th of October. And if you want an exclusive viewing, you can drop me a message too. So if you find this useful, please like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. Thank you. Bye-bye.